I spent years living all the way in the box, afraid to step out, afraid to truly grab hold of my dream. And now I am breaking through, and I invite you to join me.
Your breakthrough starts now. Coming up on today's show, get ready to be inspired and transformed with our featured guests. Find out what's trending and get advice on life's daily challenges with Erica's top tips of the day. All of this and so much more coming up, so stay tuned. This is your one-stop shop for inspiration. The Erica Latrice Show. And now, here's your host, Erica.
Hello and welcome to the Erica Latrice Show. This is your one-stop shop for inspiration. Coming up on today's show, if you didn't catch it, today's question is, how do I find my purpose? And we put it to a vote. This is the winning question right now. So if you've been wondering, how do I step out? How can I be more? How can I do more? How can I show up more? Don't go anywhere. That is exactly what we're talking about today. Our special guest in the Be Inspired Cafe, Michelle, is here, and she is going to be dropping some wisdom nuggets. I already know. She is the epitome of stepping out into your purpose, and that is one of our featured guests. And we also have today Katie, who is another gem on today's show. And we are just talking about all things purpose, all things stepping out and taking those leaps. So if you're watching live, now is a great time to join the conversation. All you got to do is comment, share, tell a friend. And if you comment, you will qualify to win today's giveaway, which is 30 days of support towards your next big goal. I also want to just send a big shout out and a big thank you to our sponsors for today's episode. We have Christine from Purpose to Profit and Dr. Sharita Weatherspoon, who is a part of, or actually the founder of Love Letters to My Girls. And you can check out both of those, so don't go anywhere. My question to you today is, when you hear the word purpose, what does that mean to you? Pretty straightforward question. What does purpose mean to you? Join the conversation. And when we come back, I'm jumping straight into our top tips of the day. And then we're heading into the Be Inspired Cafe. So don't go anywhere. Birthed out of an idea for her own daughter, Dr. Sharita's vision has now turned into a movement. This wasn't just for her daughter. It was for other sisters and daughters around the world. The Love Letters to My Girls anthology is a book by Black women and girls, a collaboration of more than 100 women coming together to write letters to inspire, uplift, motivate, and empower the sisterhood. These stories bring you lessons and healing for those worn by their experiences as a Black woman in this world. Get your copy at loveletterstomygirls.com.
Get ready for all new episodes of the Erica Latrice Show. You can join me weekdays at 2 o'clock Eastern across social media at Erica Empowers. That's Erica spelled like America. If you have a message that you want to share on the show, email us right now at info@ericalatrice.com or visit online at ericalatrice.com/be on the show.
Welcome back. So today we are talking about purpose, and I want to share with you just a couple of quick tips for my top tips for today. And then we are jumping straight into the Be Inspired Cafe with our powerhouse guests today. We have Michelle, we have Katie, and we are just going to be talking today all about how to step out, how to get clear on what you've been called to do and not hesitate in doing it. So one of the things that I just want to encourage you all on today is understanding that you have a purpose, and it's not a coincidence. The gifts that you have, how you look, how you show up, even how you feel overall is something unique to you. And I will never forget being in a place. This was when I was a bit younger, back in college. And I remember looking around and seeing everyone around me who seemed like they just had it all together. It was like, if you've ever been in this environment where everyone just knows, I'm going to be an attorney, or I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And they've known since birth. And I remember it was at that moment that I felt clueless. I was helping everyone else with their purpose, but I had no idea what I was good at, what I needed to be doing. And it was very sobering because I was about to fail, like flunk out. And I had to make an executive decision on my major at that time. But I still remember this advice. And there's two things that I learned in that moment that I want you to remember when it comes to your purpose. The first thing a mentor told me, and that was to go and start asking people who knew me, go and start asking people who cared about me what they thought I was good at. Sometimes we can overlook that simple step. We can try to do something that may fit this imaginary box, or we try to do things that maybe it looks like it's going to earn you a lot of money, or we try to do things that sound good on paper. That's what I was doing definitely at that time. But when I started asking the question to people that mattered to me, to people that cared about me, what am I good at? It definitely opened my eyes to many of the things that I do right now. And when I tell you all that I light up every single day, being able to do this show, being able to interview people, being able to connect with powerful messages, it just feels so normal. So I'm encouraging you with that because there's something that is unique to you. There's a gift that you have. And the sooner that you understand that, the sooner you're going to be able to walk in it and excel in it. So that's the first thing. Go find like 5 people. If you're going to take the challenge today, just comment, I'm taking this challenge. Go find 5 people. Ask them, what do they think you're good at? What do people come to you for? And then the second thing that was very eye-opening to me around that time, I read an article, and it was someone who spent thousands of dollars in education for something that they did not want to do. And many of us can relate to this too. Spending thousands of hours in a job that you hate, spending thousands of dollars on education, spending so much, thousands of kilowatts of personal energy on things that don't deserve your energy. And so that person started asking insane questions like, what brings me joy? Questions like, what feels effortless to me? Questions like, what comes natural to me? Because I'm telling you all, and you can think about this, we can put ourselves in these boxes, but there is someone right now who has become a millionaire off of creating pencils. There is someone who creates paper. There is someone who creates laptops. There is someone out there who trains people in health and wellness and fitness. And there are people in most anything that you can think of that are doing a great job in that area and excelling in it. So never think that your gift is too small, or that your gift is too random, or that your gift is too anything, because you're enough just how you are. And the moment that you can embrace that purpose is the day that you're going to take some leaps. So speaking of leaps, I'm about to leap into the Be Inspired Cafe. We're going to take a short break before we transition there. So now is a great time. Tell a friend, tag your best friend, drop a comment if you want to win today's giveaway. Join the conversation. And my next break, I just want to, again, thank you to Christine. She is the Purpose Coach, and she is offering a free event right now. You can go to FromPurposeToProfit.com to be a part of this event. Thousands of dollars of resources, templates, success files if you're someone interested in starting your own business. So take a look at this. When we come back, we're jumping straight into the Be Inspired Cafe. Join the question today. What does it mean to you to walk in purpose? What does purpose mean to you? I want to shout out your answer for that. So we'll be right back.
Let your light shine at the upcoming From Purpose to Profit Virtual Summit. This event is going to help you uncover your calling and create a purpose-driven business. Hosted by Christine, the Purpose Coach. With more than 20 templates and 28 speakers for 14 days, you will receive more than $4,000 worth of resources. God has a plan for you, so get ready for your divine destiny. Register today at FromPurposeToProfit.com.
If you're watching this, so are your potential clients. I'm excited to announce an all-new season of the Erica Latrice Show. It's coming up right now, and we're looking for featured guests as well as sponsors. If you want to be a success supporter of this show, connect with our team right now by emailing info@ericalatrice.com to get more information, or just support the mission of Be Inspired, to empower and inspire people all around the world with a message of hope and encouragement. Our mission is to bring you uplifting news and talk to encourage and share a platform for those who have a powerful message and looking for a place to share it. If you want to partner with the Erica Latrice Show, you can do so by emailing info@ericalatrice.com or visit ericalatrice.com/sponsor so that you can be a success supporter of this inspirational movement.
Welcome back. So if you are tired of seeing Erica Latrice commercials, you shouldn't be. But if you are, email me so we can promote your brand and your message. So I'm so excited to hop into the Be Inspired Cafe with our first guest today, Michelle. Michelle is out here just trailblazing. She's getting new hours that she didn't even have when we first connected. And she is really the epitome of stepping out in your purpose. So welcome with me into the Be Inspired Cafe. Michelle, how are you doing today?
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
Well, yes. So can you tell us just a little bit about what you do? You're an author, you're an entrepreneur, and so many other things going on for you right now. So tell us just a bit about how you got to where you're at now.
Okay, so I am a rising author, businesswoman, and philanthropist. I started writing poetry actually when I was 18 years old, and it kind of started with my grandmother punishing me for being a little disrespectful. And because of the punishment, I was forced to kind of deal with myself. And in that, I kind of noticed in my alone time that I was having thoughts come to myself, and it came out in poetic form. And from there, I just started writing my poems, which is when I discovered I had a hidden talent. So I've been writing for years. I released my first poetry book entitled Poetic Soul Unspoken Roots back in 2008. And so I recently re released it again, an anniversary edition, with some added pieces and some images just to showcase some of the things that I have done since my last release. And so I'm in a process of promoting that right now, and it's been good. I also run a concierge service for the elitist group, and it's basically for entertainers and athletes who come into the Houston area and need support when they come into town. And I am currently working on a pamper care box for pregnant women, and it's basically a really nice pamper box that has all things beauty related, all things pampering to massage the emotional state of the mother as she's transitioning back to herself from giving birth. And I chose to do that because I realized that at baby showers, mothers do not get anything. Everything is about the baby. And so I decided to do something different, and give the mother something, because when you take care of the mother and you treat her well, you will likely get the very best of her by taking care of her from going through such a traumatic time. And so these are all the few things that I currently do right now. And aside from that, I've had to dive into these things kind of like on my own, because I did experience such traumatic loss. I've lost six members of my immediate family, and it all started very young when I was about 18 years old, actually. And I lost my mother first. And she passed away like 3 months before I finished high school. So she didn't get to see me graduate. She didn't get to see me become a wife, a mother, or even experience any. And 2 years after that, my sister passed away. And that was hard because the year before that, I was in a major car accident where I should have lost my life. And it was more worse than my sister's accident because I got ran over by an 18-wheeler, got drugged half a mile underneath the truck, and I left with just scratches on my knuckles and my feet. Um, got sent to the emergency room. I was the talk of the emergency room because no one could understand how I survived it. And I had a man that came to me because he heard about me, and he gave me a Bible, which I still have today. And he told me that I had a calling on my life and I had to continue. My grandmother was very distraught because we had just buried my mom the year before, and she thought that I was gone, and I wasn't. But the following year, my sister was. And so that was hard for me. It took me a very long time to get over that. And but I had to keep pressing. And then a few years after that, I lost my grandfather, which he raised me along with my grandmother. My grandparents raised me. And so when he passed away, that was pretty difficult to do, um, in terms of moving forward without him being present. And my aunt passed a couple of years after him, which also played a huge role in my upbringing. And, even a few years after that, it's like death just kept pulling my family members away from me, everybody that played a significant role in my upbringing. So having all of that traumatic experience was heavy on me, but I knew that there was a reason why I had to stay. And there was a reason why I was being pushed to continue without all these important people in my life. And even during the course of the quarantine, I lost some more family members. So as you can see, I really experienced some traumatic things in my life, but I'm still present and I'm still pushing forward because I understand I have a purpose now.
Yes. And that's what we're talking about today, purpose, because I know that when we're going through those moments where it feels like loss after loss or setback after setback, it's tempting to it's tempting to do a lot of things. I won't even say tempting. Sometimes it's just hard to get up. It's hard to even
Mm-hmm.
find a reason to keep pushing. So there's a couple of things that you said, and I kind of want to touch on this. One of the things that I find interesting is that with what you do now, walking your purpose, you're multifaceted. You're doing things that I'm sure, or maybe you get the question, how do you balance it all? How do you work on this area that's totally different from this area? So my first question to you would be, how have you been able to find that balance or that happy medium between doing things that you're passionate about, even if they're not like the exact same thing?
Well, first of all, I do have a schedule in place. And so I make sure that I'm following the schedule so that I'm not overwhelming myself with one specific thing and trying to catch up with the other thing. So I just kind of have a structured schedule in place so that I make sure that I'm on task with everything. Um, I just figure it out. I make it work, and when I find that it's becoming a bit too much, I'll take some breaks in between, just so that I can have that balance.
Yes. So another thing that I find just so incredible, and I would love for you to speak to this for someone that maybe is going through grief. I recently lost my mom as well, and I know that sometimes if someone hasn't experienced something, even though they can mean well, or even though people can try to, hey, get back in there, don't
Mm.
be too long, and tell you all kinds of things, meaning well. What advice or what encouragement would you give to someone that maybe they are going through a loss right now, or they're going through grief? To find that strength to keep going as you've done.
What I've had to do, I've had to face that pain. I've had to face it. I would say don't let anybody rush you through the process of grieving because we all grieve at different stages, and it takes us time to really get through it. You're never gonna fully get through it 100% because that's love there, that's a family member there, and you're just not going to let that go, but it gets easier with time to accept it. But you learn to keep their legacy alive. You learn to remember all of the great things that you experienced with them, and you do what you know is best for you to do in terms of coming out of it, what they would have wanted to see you do if they were present. So my best suggestion would be to heal in your own timing. Do not be forced to move just because somebody else may say you need to hurry up and get through that. Well, you can't say that because if you haven't had the experience, you're not going to know.
Amen. So I have 1,000 more questions for you. I'm back for final thoughts in just a moment.
Okay.
But for those that
Okay.
want to get connected with you, they want to support what you're doing and be a part
Mhm.
of your movement. What's the best way that we can connect with you?
Okay. You can follow me on my social media handles at Michelle Lynette on Instagram and Facebook. You can also sign up under my website at www.thethemichellenette.com and subscribe to my email list to receive messages for those of you who are not on social media. And I am also on LinkedIn under Michelle Lynette.
I love it. Well, Michelle, I want to say thank you so much for being in the Be Inspired Cafe today. She's not going anywhere,
Thank
y'all.
you.
So if you have
Thank you
questions,
for having me.
yes, thank you. If you have questions for Michelle, put those in the comments right now. If you're watching live, there's always a perk
Okay.
for being on live. So we are about to bring up our next guest in the Be Inspired Cafe. Yet another powerhouse. If you have been thinking about dating, if you've been thinking about growing your confidence, then you are in the right place. So welcome with me into the Be Inspired Cafe today. Katie, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. And I did not realize that all of us have experienced this kind of loss. So I just wanted to say I'm so sorry to hear about your mom.
Wow, I thank you.
And Michelle, too.
I know it's one of those things, and the same to you. It's one of those things that when you experience loss, it's tempting. It's tempting to quit. It's tempting to just sit down at times. So I commend you both for being up here today with smiles on your face and pouring out into others. That's huge. So, Katie, you have a very interesting title that I love, the sober dating coach, and just talking about purpose today and stepping out in our purpose. Can you tell us just a little bit of how you've gotten to the path that you're on right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to tell you, I struggled with this for a really long time. Can I just keep it real? I remember a doctor said to me about 8 years ago, what is your purpose in life? What is your passion? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I just felt so confused. And so it sparked this question in me to say, let me go and ask. I like the suggestions that Erica had around asking people for guidance. And I realized that I really loved communicating. I loved understanding where people had come from and where they were going and what made them successful. And I wanted to somehow do that virtually, and I didn't really know how. And so about 5 years ago, I got into commercial real estate, and I thought that maybe that was my passion. But what I learned from that was, one, it was a lot of drinking and a lot of late nights. And I realized for me that I couldn't keep up and sustain that kind of effort that was required to do 12, 14-hour days if I was drinking. So I decided to just try letting go of alcohol. And so most people understand sobriety as that of being sober from drugs and alcohol. But for me, my path was a little bit different. Sure, I gave up the booze. But what I really needed to give up was the boys for a little while. And so why that transpired and how I then became a sober dating coach is I started this organization where I really surrounded myself around women in commercial real estate who we could work out together, we could do smoothies afterwards, and we would connect on a deeper level. But what I found was the common denominator is everybody was so focused on the physical, but not really connected to the emotional and the spiritual. And so I kind of felt like there was a big hole that was missing. And so I started leading these workshops where I was talking about emotions like grief and faith. And that was because during that time, I had decided to take about 1.5 years off from dating. I was working with a group and coaches and mentors to really understand this concept of being addicted to love. And that's what I define sobriety as for me is, it's a compulsive need to want to be loved or seek attention from someone else. And I was becoming addicted to guys' attention or clients' attention, or always getting that promotion and that next thing, always chasing the purpose. And I realized, you know what, I've got to just hit the brakes here. And so to kind of speed up what ended up transpiring over that 1.5 years as I took time off from dating, I really got comfortable getting to know who I was. I white knuckled the journey the whole way through, but I cried and I prayed and I said, I know that there's something greater coming of this. And what ended up transpiring was actually some pretty terrible things. In a matter of 18 months, I was violently raped over a ski weekend away with friends, but these were acquaintances. And then I lost my stepmom, I lost my grandfather, and then I lost my grandmother, who my grandparents also raised me. And I got to tell you, I kept saying to myself, thank God I have the foundation of faith underneath me. Thank God I have the foundation of actually working on my emotional fitness, not just my physical. Because what I've learned is that my body bounced back pretty quickly, but my mind, man, you started talking about this earlier, Erica, my mind took a while to get over. I still have moments of grief. I was just crying about my grandma the other day, and she's been passed away now for over 1 year. And so what I realized through that journey was I lost my job as a result of the PTSD becoming so bad. And I said, and I had this moment on the beach where I was crying and I was talking to God, and I was like, all I've been asking you for is my purpose and my passion. All I want to do is be happy and teach others how to be happy. Show me the way. And so what ended up happening was I started teaching people in their careers how to become happier in their careers, then realized I hate putting on a corporate suit jacket. So I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to be virtual. And it slowly started to transpire to teaching people what love addiction is and some of the common symptoms that we actually all face, and how that actually then transpired into a podcast called Anything for Love. And because my journey was I was always doing anything when it came to love, but I really needed to love myself and learn how to do that. And then I started becoming asked to coach particularly women on how to be more confident when it comes to their love life, from taking time off from dating and really focusing on themselves to then getting back out there and what that journey's like. And now it's become more of an international success where I've had a lot of men reach out to me, big in the LGBTQ community, and really supporting that love is love, and aspiring to become an author and really take this business to also start coaching women on how to start their businesses as well, and really understand their purpose and passion. And the last thing I'll say, Erica, is that I found that my purpose and my passion ended up coming from something I was really bad at. I was really bad at love.
Yes.
And to really learn how to get good at love. And I had to surround myself with coaches and mentors and people who I knew I could aspire to be like and really be grounded in faith.
Amen. I feel like that's how it happens for many of us. The area that's attacked the most, the area that we struggle in the most, the area that we have to fight the most is usually the area of our gift. And I talk about this a lot too, where I used to get, I wouldn't say condemned, that sounds so harsh, condemned for asking too many questions. But I do know that I would hear it over and over, like, my gosh, you ask a lot of questions from like teachers and stuff. Now I interview people, so it makes sense, right?
Makes sense.
But so when we come back, I want to deal a little more with grief. So if you're watching right now and you know someone that has experienced grief, if you know someone that has experienced loss on the path to walking out their purpose, please tag them right now. Please share this right now, because in a moment, Michelle's coming back up and Katie is here to talk about this. But Katie, I want to talk about, before we get into that, you talked about, I love it. I just gave you a t-shirt, Booze and Boys, giving it up. But what would you say to that person that, like, when I hear you talk about the addiction to love, and we hear terms like codependency and even complaining about being stuck in the same cycles and not really understanding how we play a role in those cycles. So what would you say to that person that feels like they're going through the same relationship, the same cycle over and over? How can we break the cycle?
There's a couple things. I think first it's being willing to ask for help. Just that you have this feeling that you feel uncomfortable about, and you just know that, by the way, I've identified that as me being not spiritually aligned, meaning like something I'm doing, this person I'm spending my time with doesn't feel good. And so I need to ask for help. I at least need to talk to one or two safe and trusted people that really understand what love addiction is, right? This compulsive need to want to be loved by someone so that we will feel good enough about ourselves. And really being mindful that most of the times that's not family and friends. I'm sorry, but it's not. They want what's best for us. And so sometimes what they'll do is just encourage us to get out of that, when really that might not feel the safest. And I think you brought up a really good point, Erica, is that the other thing is with guidance and support is being able to understand what that pattern is. I still am learning my patterns, but a big part of that is really understanding what are the thoughts that you keep saying to yourself over and over and over again. What are the fears that you have about, well, if I don't text him back right away, or if I leave her, is she ever, am I ever going to find the kind of love that I've had with them? Those are fears, those are thoughts, which is actually creating you or making you feel stuck. And so I think it's really crucial. And there's also a big support for myself was 12-step recovery, and really understanding that there's specific programs around like love addiction and money and whatever your thing is that you're sort of holding on tight to, and codependency. And I think the last thing I'll share is that it is very common that we get into relationships, be it at work, be it in our love life, be it with our friends, that have some sort of similarity to that of who we were raised by. And let's face it, the people that raised us, they did the best they could, but sometimes it wasn't the best for us. And as a result of that, we start to behave like them. We may be judging or criticizing, or we may be codependent. Let's say I'm having a bad day. If I'm codependent, my feelings, I'm trying to soothe them. So I might, some women will call their mom like 3 times a day, or they'll call their partner, or they'll look at their phone and
Well, it paused you for some reason. We can't hear you. So
I think we're good.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Sorry about that.
To ask you, for those that want to connect with you, we're going to wrap up with our final thoughts. But what's the best way that we can get connected with you across social media, find your website, and everything in between?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check me out on my podcast, Anything for Love. You can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, kg.katiegrimes. And you can also check out my website, katiegrimes.com. And I'm also running a Summit of Love. It's an annual one-day conference. We're doing it virtual this year. We're going to have dancers. It's going to be unreal, but really focused on creating a life that we love. So if that's of interest to you, and you really want to pursue your passion there, I'd be happy to support you and guide you.
I love it. So we're going to bring Michelle back for our final thoughts right now. And if you're watching live, this is a great time to share because it's just always a great time to share pretty much. So welcome back. Welcome back, Michelle. And it's so interesting, Katie, because as you shared, sometimes we have so much in common with people and have no way of knowing the similarities in our story. And you both have overcome. I say overcome, but I use that loosely because to your point, Katie, we never overcome, grief and losing those that we love the most. But what would you say? What's that one tip, that one word of advice that you would hope the audience would leave with? Let's start with you, Michelle.
Are we speaking about grief?
Grief, purpose, and everything that you talk about, rising again and stepping out. So
Okay.
all of that.
So I would like to say, starting with grief, if you are going through grief, it don't rush yourself. As I said before, take your time because it's not something that you can rush through. As I stated before, there's love there. So you will never get over a deep love that you have for someone. In terms of your purpose, do not let anybody talk you out of doing what it is that you want to do. All of us have a purpose for being here. God gives us all a vision. And just because one person doesn't understand your vision doesn't mean that it's not so. It's just that it's your vision. So don't let anyone speak you out of doing that. And overall, I would just like to encourage people that when life happens with you, don't be afraid to face what you're going to have to deal with because it's only going to grow you in the area where you are possibly comfortable at. And you're going to have to understand that in order for us to grow, we have to come out of our comfort zone. So if your life is always like this, you're not growing. You got to go through this sometimes in order to grow. And so that's how I'm going to end it, with letting people know that don't be afraid to come out of your comfort zone. It's only going to help you.
Yes. Amen to that. And I think too, when we think about those ups and downs that you just said, this is our dance for today. No blues and bars, and life has ups and downs. But it also teaches us to appreciate those moments of sunshine whenever we've experienced the rain. So Katie, that you would hope we could walk away with?
Yeah, I think a big part of it is that we always say to ourselves, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to do, but I'm just not doing it, right? And I think for one, it's having faith that we are exactly where we're supposed to be in this moment. And I know I'm practicing it right now. Is I know there's a God. I know that I have spirituality, but I know that I need, in order to really step into my purpose, to really move through the grief, not around it, but through it, I need to actually accept that I'm supposed to be going through this experience or these feelings or these thoughts to teach someone else, so that when they go through it, I mean, here we're three perfect strangers. And who would have known, unless we were put in this exact environment with this audience that's listening to it at this exact time and who will listen to it later, that they'll be able to pick pieces away of, oh, I've thought that. Oh, I felt that. Oh, I've had that experience. And to be able to see, you know what? There is a purpose for doing this, and there is a purpose for learning this lesson. And to really just, I know this is the worst word to say, but to practice patience, because like I said earlier, my body wanted to go. I wanted to work out right after my assault, but like my mind was like still in fight or flight. And I really had to learn how to be patient when one body wants to go, but the mind wants to slow down, and to really give in. So the last thing I'll say about both purpose and grief is to really pay attention to the fact that it's okay to just take your time. It really is okay, because the answers will come. You'll be able to feel better again. And like Erica was saying, this roid, I like to call it the dip. You know, you dip, we dip, we dip. We're like literally feeling great, and then we dip. Then we're feeling great, and then we dip. And I think it's just important to recognize that all of it is a part of a journey, and all of it is just a part of the dance of life.
I love it. And
I agree.
Yes, they're coming back. They are my new panel of something I'm going to create just to bring both Katie and Michelle back. If you're watching right now, join me in a drum roll as we do our giveaway for today. So kudos and congratulations to our winner for today's episode, Valerie. Congratulations. She said, ask for help. Well, help is on the way if you have a goal to step out with business. So all you got to do is email info@ericalatrice.com for your giveaway today. And I just want to say a huge thank you both to you, Katie, to you, Michelle, for taking time out to be on the show today. Could not have planned such a great storyline and powerhouse message that you both had. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening too.
Awesome. I'm like, so many good comments from our live audience. So thank you for joining the conversation. If this encouraged you, connect with me across social media @Erica Empowers everywhere that you can join in. And if this message did encourage you, tell someone, tag a trailblazer, share it with a friend. And as I'm always telling you all every single day, no matter what happened this morning, last night, 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago, next week, go out and make today right now amazing, because it is absolutely a choice. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye.
For more inspiration, visit us online at ericalatrice.com.